I don't like it this year. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's, buying stuff.
Buying stuff is supporting it.
That one I don't think you'll need.
Ready as we can be.
What's that?
Call the meeting to order. Stand and say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Let's start out with approval of the last meeting's minutes. They were sent out to us.
Tracy, I'm gonna if I could, make one change on there. When we talked about the proposed payment for policy easements, I want to add 33 feet to 60 feet for the $3,000 pay. That's okay.
All right. Any other corrections or additions to the minutes?
I move to approve as corrected.
Motion to approve, second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Olson. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. The agenda, Commissioner Heiser, anything to add?
No.
Commissioner Olson?
Yeah, we got an application for a member to be on the housing authority.
Craig?
No.
Bob?
Yeah, gravel agreement. Or, yeah, I guess that's what it's called.
And I have Holly would like to talk to us about adding to her budget for a Vanguard contract or app. So she'll be in after that. Not anything else? For a motion to approve the agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda with the changes. Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Heiser, second by Commissioner Olson to approve the agenda with the additions. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Engineer reports. Carl.
Hello, can you hear me all right?
Sure can. Good morning.
Good morning. I'll just jump right in. 86th Avenue, we're trying to put forth a alternative plan for their testing that they're asking for. So for SHPO, so we'll see if they can come to an agreement on an alternative to what they're proposing, which some of the landowners aren't a fan of. But 92nd Avenue, permit secured, working on the easements for that project. Plan is to bid the project this year and have it constructed later this year. 100th Avenue Northwest, plans are all complete and on the bid site. We do have one signature to obtain yet, but we do have an agreement with them in place. We do have the project advertised for the March 19th, so the next commission meeting there will be a bid opening for that, and that's already on the agenda. Anticipate construction this year. 12th Street, working on easements for that project as well. We are resubmitting a revised grading plan for that project to avoid cultural impacts along that project. 16th Street Southwest, working through the permit on that one as well. We do have a more significant site on that one, so we have to come up with some alternatives for mitigation on that project because that site is just not avoidable. The 2025 projects, all our field surveys are complete. We're currently working on the grading design. Made good progress on those. Looking at our environmental and cultural impacts right now, so we should be putting those 404 permit applications together here in the coming months. 2026 projects, we're just getting started. Actually, we've been working on some field survey on those, scheduling the environmental and cultural surveys for here soon now that the weather's kind of turning around. Anticipate working on the grading design here this summer. I will note too, on the 98th Avenue or 79th Avenue project, excuse me, we are looking into potentially applying for some flex funding for that project for the bridge replacement portion of that we may be eligible for. So beginning the process of looking into that right now as they come out with some additional funding in this biennium. So any questions?
No, I don't believe so.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Carl. Hey,
Good morning,
Darren?
Commissioners. Am I coming
Morning.
through?
Yes, you are.
Very good. Thank you. Yes, I have some brief updates for you all as well. We can start out on 14th Street. We're still on hold waiting for Schwartz regarding their spring startup. They'll probably be starting on the box culvert here. We did expect to hear from them shortly, but we have not. Once we hear, we'll relay that information to the road department. For 119th Avenue Southwest, if you recall, we did bid that at the last commission meeting. We did send out the notice of award to Central Specialties in the amount of $1,173,932.14. Spoke with CSI today. They're at the conference here in Bismarck. Actually, today was yesterday, but they're finishing up their contracts and the corresponding documents, the bonding and all that stuff, and they'll be mailing them to us here in the next day or two. So once we receive and verify all that, we'll issue the formal notice to proceed and set up a pre-construction conference for that. Moving along on 99th Avenue Southwest, the 404 permit application and mitigation plan. Those were formally submitted to the Corps on February 4th by West. That's our environmental consultant. Checked with West, and they still have not received any information back from the Corps at the time, but they stated again with the new presidential administration, things are kind of moving a little slowly in there, and they're trying to figure out what's going to be valid and what's not valid, but I'll check again here next week and see if any progress has been made. For 12th, again, nothing's been happening on that one. There was a landowner dispute that I believe was settled, but I just have it as a placeholder in case there was anything to discuss on that one. So I guess I'll refer to the commission. Is there anything to discuss on that one at this time? Hearing nothing, I'll just keep rolling then. So for Manning, Southwest held a formal internal plan review meeting on February 6th. We're still waiting to get their formal response back. I know there are some changes. I've talked with the internal people that represent Southwest within Bartlett and West, and I know there are some modifications and concerns regarding the narrow width at the end of some of the alleyways that service the community of Manning, and as far as right-of-way access and liability and indemnification. So they're working all that stuff into their agreement. I imagine they need to get legal review on that, but as soon as that is all formalized and we receive a formal response, we'll be setting up a sit-down meeting for that too, to try to keep that thing moving. So questions on Manning? Hearing none, I'll move along. Neurotic again, that one's been placed on hold. I do have a position for it, just in case anything needed to be discussed. Any discussion on that at this point? Okay, hearing nothing, I'll move to the 2025 projects. So for 3rd Street Northwest, we continue moving forward with formal design. We did receive the cultural resource report for this project. We verified that cultural resource formal report with the shape files that we were sent prior to receiving the report. The shape files matched up with the report, so we're working with Beaver Creek and getting that core permit submitted on that. For 7th, from 97th to 94th, we're moving forward with the design on that. We did receive the formal cultural resource report from Beaver Creek on that last Friday, the 28th. The final report did have some discrepancies with the initial shape files, so we need to do some modifications in our design to accommodate the official report. Once that's completed, then we will also submit for that core permit. And last, on 7th Street, the 101 Avenue to 97th, we're moving forward with design, but we have still not received the cultural resources report from Beaver Creek. So we're just, using our design with the shape files that we provided. Again, with the earlier 7th Street report having some changes, we wouldn't be surprised if there were some formal changes on the report, but once we get the formal report, we'll verify that to the shape files, and then we can submit for the core permit on that. So that's all I have for you all. Do you have any questions for me?
Thank you, Darren.
Thank you very much.
James?
Morning.
Morning.
Okay, I'd like to start with the construction project. Project was bid and awarded to Schwartz Construction at the last meeting. We're working with their office to schedule the upcoming meetings, get on all the paperwork that they need to get started. Design projects, 109th. We have received negotiation signatures from most of the businesses. We're still looking for some help from the road department. We will move ahead with remaining negotiations. We do have a meeting this week to discuss utility conflicts, and we'll hand over a plan set for review soon. On 82nd South, Corps has finished the review and issued the 404 permit. We will schedule a meeting to review these plans with the road department. I handed those off today to the portfolio holders and to Terry. So we'll take a look at that in the coming weeks and target a new bid date as talks and reviews are completed. And then on the north segment, we're asking for a plan review with the road department soon. We're trying to push out a 65% set of plans before we get too much further into the design. Review that with the road department. Core application submittal is scheduled for this week. I'm kind of thinking we should push it until we get that review done so that we're all on the same page. Any questions on those projects? All right.
Well, thank you, James.
Thanks.
Morning.
Jeremy's got easement meetings, so you're stuck with me today. Wanted me to bring up a few updates regarding some of our projects. Design projects, 114th Avenue from 21M to 19th Street. If you recall, we kind of did those geotechnical borings and got geotechnical reports all taken care of. We're finalizing design and easement negotiations. We are anticipating a May bid opening date for that project. Next one wanted to talk about was that 3T Avenue Southwest, located in the JR's industrial subdivision. Last meeting, you had asked for us to kind of work on putting together construction costs for asphalt or concrete. We're planning on getting your opinion and costs at the next meeting for you guys to review. We have completed the survey out there and currently working on the geotechnical results as well. Process of getting the pavement designs for either of those options. To tie in kind of with that project, we have that 98th Avenue, that's north of Dunn Center there. We had bid that project last year. We're talking about bidding that potentially after that DOT bid opening. One thing Jeremy wanted to bring up is if the option for 3T is to go with asphalt out there, to actually tie those two projects together to maybe bulk up the quantities on the asphalt out there, you might get a little better bid then, just to utilize whatever plant you're going to get for that asphalt. I don't know what you guys think of that.
You'll be fine.
Okay. And we can kind of have a better decision on that once we decide if it's going to be asphalt or concrete. Moving forward, 119th Avenue Southwest and 22nd Street Southwest, the design and easement acquisitions are complete. We do have a bid opening plan for that on March 19th. That's been submitted in for the ad for bid and everything. That's 10 a.m. for that meeting. Next project wanted to quick talk about was that 10th Street Northwest, 113th Avenue Northwest, and 7th Street Northwest. We've been meeting with the landowners out there. I think we've gotten pretty much positive reviews. That's the one you guys voted on the last meeting to have designed for future pavement. 103rd Avenue from 11th Street to 7th Street Southwest. We've obtained the Corps of Engineers permit. We have one landowner out there that we need to get an agreement with on the easement. We're planning on meeting with him next week, it sounds like, but if all that kind of falls together, I would imagine we'll get that one out to bid relatively soon as well. 105th Avenue from 25th Street Southwest to 19th Street Southwest. All the easements been obtained. We have a bid opening planned for April 2nd for that project. One thing I want to bring up, there is some, if you recall, we're doing that Ducks Unlimited mitigation for the wetland stuff. There is kind of a significant amount out there. It's 1.8 acres, so that'll be coming to you guys as well soon. And then the last design project he wanted me to bring up was 104th Avenue from 30th Street Southwest to 28th Street Southwest. I think easements have been going well out there. I don't think we have any pushback. There's just one landowner we gotta kind of get nailed down to meet up with. But we're anticipating an April bid opening out there on that project as well. That's kind of as far as design is what he wanted me to bring up. Do you have any questions for me?
Does that, Carl, or Riley, the 104th, does that tie into a Stark County road that?
The south end does, but I don't think there's going to be any issue of like shared cost or anything on that south end. Okay, just one little update as far as construction progress, construction projects. We had that 108M bridge replacement that was kind of through the DOT. All the final documents have been sent off. We're really just waiting for the letter to say it's been turned over to Construction Services in Bismarck. So I think we're pretty well done with that one. And then a couple miscellaneous things he wanted me to bring up. We're hosting a utility coordination meeting tomorrow at our office, bringing in several different utility companies. I believe other engineering companies coming in as well. So to review kind of the county projects as a whole for this summer to hopefully get the ball rolling a little bit better with the utilities. And then last meeting, talked about the revised easement policy. We did have the state's attorneys and the recorder's office review those. We've gotten back that everything looks like it's good to go on that, so I think we can start utilizing that new easement documents to start recording the new easements. Any questions for me? Alrighty, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Terry? Morning.
Morning.
I guess first of all, we had the joint powers on the agenda. So we're looking for a motion to buy a 2022 entire power distributor trailer from McKenzie County. And that's what the joint powers is. They need the motions and
I'll make a motion as chairman sign the joint powers with McKenzie County.
A second.
There's a motion and a second to sign the joint powers agreement with McKenzie County to purchase a,
Car buggy.
okay, tar buggy. Okay,
It'll get called worse than that, I'm sure.
yeah. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Okay, and then we got 2 utility permits. One's for Second Street Southwest, and that's a 3-phase underground power. It's kind of out by Larry Knutsvik's place, which we recommend approval for. And the other one is for Second Street Southwest as well. And that'll be for a 10-inch gas pipeline, and that's out west of Gilder. We recommend approval for both.
Madam Chairman, I move to accept utility permits.
Motion to accept the utility permits.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Clayman. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
And I guess for now, the blades are out running now, and if we get the oil distributor trailer, we'll be starting the crack sealing, and as of Monday, March 10th, we'll be putting load restrictions on all the county paved roads as well.
Okay. Anything else?
Not for me.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
Stand before we forget here. There you go. Thank you. All right. What do we have here? The housing.
Sure.
Yeah.
We got an application from Matt Ose, who's the city administrator up in Killdeer there. He asked to join the Dunn County Housing Authority. I think he'd be a good applicant to help us out there. We got a lot of activities planned coming up here in the future and could use a little help, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'd move that we add Matt Ose to the Dunn County Housing Authority.
Okay. Motion to add Matt Ose to the Dunn County Housing Authority.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Clayman. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And just one other thing with the Housing Authority, I wanted to mention that we've got a March 10th, next Monday at 6 o'clock. We're gonna have a meeting right here in the commission room, and it's a public input meeting to discuss any, like, the future housing needs for the county and talk about options and what the residents want to see us do. So invite everybody to come join us next Monday, March 6th. Or March 10th, sorry.
March 10th.
March 10th.
Sounds good. Thank you. Gravel agreement?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I was talking to Al and Terry about getting our, so we can get some agreements. We got 2 people out there that are wanting to sell gravel, and one of them called me the other day and said that, we don't get something written up, he's gonna look for somebody else, so. But Al pulled the one from Stark County, the agreement that they have. And I'd like to have Terry take this one and the one that we got and get in touch with our state's attorney and put one together. This one's got a few other little changes in it.
Has this, I don't know who the gravel agreement is that you're working with, the landowner, but have they been offered our gravel agreement yet?
Yes,
And
and they
then-
didn't, the thing they didn't like about it is that, they want the rocks the size of a fist to be picked up after the project was done.
Madam Chair, I did forward this to Ross, and he kind of liked it, so, but anything can be changed on this document. If you want to meld them together, Bob asked about it, so I've used this in the past, and it's worked, so.
And I think we've been dealing with this guy a long time. I think we should get something done.
Mm-hmm. Will that be a problem when you removing those rocks that size when it's done, or, I mean, is that something, I don't know much about.
That's kind of standard in the road industry when you do a road project, because nobody wants to drive over, you kind of pick them rocks that are that size. Some get overlooked, but, it's kind of been that way for a long time.
Is it that way on, for the actual mine of the gravel? Is that what?
You mean, I'm not quite understanding.
So when you say in the gravel agreement, you want to,
In the reclamation part of it,
Yeah, the reclamation.
after it's mined, topsoil is spread and bladed out, just go back and pick the rocks. I think it's standard practice to not leave a bunch of rocks in
well,
the,
sure.
and that's, this size is, we've picked rocks for years that way, so.
But I guess the main thing was just to take the both of them and have them look at them and take the good out of both of them
Sure.
and put them together.
Yeah, I think that would be, fine to have the state's attorney's office get them both, and I don't know that we would need any
I think-
motion at this
I
time.
think Terry can look at them and
Yeah,
meet with the guy and
sure.
Like I said, I did send this new one to Ross, and he thought it looked good, so mailed the two together. and-
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I sent it to him last night, and he responded this morning, said he likes it.
Yeah, I guess, go ahead and try to get something.
One thing I might add is this agreement does not have an end date. And it says in there, you get egress until the pile has been depleted. I think Terry mentioned some of the current leases, they got to be out within X amount of years, so whether that can be changed if it's a landowner's, but that's what this particular lease says.
I think they got so long, and then if the pile's still there, we pay them a lease to keep the pile there. Is how it's stated, isn't it? So that means, we take a pile of gravel and leave it there for 15 years, and this way, the $1,000, they get something out of their land anyhow.
Yeah, so it's a 5-year lease, and then you have to have it removed by the end of the 6th year, or else then we would pay the rent.
Yep.
So, well, I think just try to go ahead and work something out with the landowner.
That was, the only problem was he wanted, after the location was done, we were out of there, that there was no rocks left any bigger than his fist. And they did that to the one across the road, and they did a heck of a job. The rocks were cleaned up, so that's where he got the idea. He said, I want it like the neighbors got.
Anything else on that? Guess, Holly, are you on? Oh, there you are. I didn't even see you come in. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oops. Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
First of all, I just want to thank you for your support. We did get Nathan Aylis into our office towards the end of January. He did come to the recorder's office, and he's doing well with what I've given him so far. I'm pushing the waters, giving him a lot of work to do, so he's doing very well. We did get a chance to go to our North Dakota Assessing Association of Officers in Bismarck last month, so his first time there. Meeting a lot of comrades that we have throughout the state in tax department and assessing officers and things like that, so he was very appreciative of that. Yesterday, I did have the privilege of our Vanguard representative come in and kind of walk through some of our processes that we have that go into our assessing software and things like that. It's kind of a yearly thing. She comes in and makes sure that helps me with being in compliance. Since previous tax director did that, this is my first year doing it by myself. She was by my side, helping me out with that. One of the things last year, Nicole had asked me to put in the budget valuation or no recourse to them that I wasn't able to provide for you. So it's not going to be like, I'll have this done in a year. It'll probably be a 5-year project with Nathan and I going through the county and trying to get majority of these buildings added on. But what it does is let me put them in the system, and it will not transfer that value over to our tax system. So these people won't get generated that tax statement. We can do that currently with what we have, but we have to change a few items that hold a lot of weight for valuation. And if the person that adds them back to the tax roll doesn't change all of those things, those values can get construed. So I would rather them be valued correctly even throughout the years, but not fall onto our tax roll. So that's kind of just the gist of what I'm asking for. An extra $400 to get this program this year.
Madam Chair, make a motion to authorize Holly to pick up the software she needs, and your budget has got to come out of the general fund, or, yep.
It's an extra $400. I'm not sure with the change of employment and things, with Nicole being part-time last year and adding Nathan on full-time this year, there's a little bit of difference, but, I kind of asked for that too, so.
Okay, so there's a motion to approve the additional funds to purchase exempt property module for the tax director's office. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Pelton. I think another thing with this would be the valuation, because of like fire, ambulance, those, that's figured into
We
that.
do get a lot of people, appraisers, realtors, even insurance agents call for a lot of these properties, as well as our commercial and residential properties. So it would be a valuable thing, and especially one of the questions on the exempt property form is, what is your property valued at? Most of these people can't give that to us because we don't have that in there. So if I tell them if they really want it, call your insurance agent and see what they have it valued for at that point in time. So it would be better to be concise with our whole county.
Okay.
Madam Chairman, did you give us a price on that and I missed it, or?
Last year, it was at $1,200 with a $425 service fee.
Okay.
This year, it's $1,600, so it went up $400.
Okay. Any more discussion? If not, I guess roll call vote.
Commissioner Heiser?
Yes.
Commissioner Olson?
Yes.
Commissioner Pelton? Commissioner Kleeman?
Yes.
Commissioner Dolzall?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Take a break. Back at maybe you should have a little bit longer.
$75,000 we put down on it. It's a total of $88,000. It's a used truck. New tank. Have everything on, like full-length fender hose sprays, and then able to put a pump out of one of those big tanks that was put on pounds or whatever, and suck out of there with that too. You need to see this or what?
We have a copy of the
Okay.
cost, yeah, 98.3.
Yeah.
And you expect delivery in March or early
End of March,
April?
early
Yeah,
April, they say.
that's good.
So you said you didn't get your budget in, so you didn't get any taxes levied even from Dunn County?
Dunn or Stark. They combine together.
So just for your information, the Stark County's the one that the budget's turned into, and they certify the levy to us, so.
You're gonna let that happen again?
Oh, did it for 25 years. I don't know what happened, something miscommunication or what, but.
Age
said-
age is everything to do with, did it?
Oh, well, that's true too. And she reminded me, and I says, well, that's fine. And she told me that we wouldn't be able to increase because we're late. And so we discussed it with other board members for the Southern Fire Department. We all said, well, we'll just keep the budget as it was, but that's not the way it worked. So I still had to turn the budget in, and then I was past his due date. So now I have to go in front of all the commissioners and start and done. That's what it is, I guess.
Okay.
I'd move that we give them the 40,000 out of the federal mineral.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Pelton, second by Commissioner Kleeman to donate $40,000 to South Hart Fire District with the money coming out of our federal mineral royalty fund. Any further discussion? If not, roll call vote.
Commissioner Heiser?
Yes.
Commissioner Olson?
Yes.
Commissioner Pelton?
Yes.
Commissioner Kleeman?
Yes.
Commissioner Dalzo?
Yes. Carries.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for
I'll
coming
go the
in.
other way because it's a lot easier.
You tell Trent that you didn't get it because he wasn't here.
I will tell.
Okay.
Give him a bad
Did
time.
you want a copy of this, what I put down already, or?
I've got a copy.
Oh, you do already?
Yep.
Okay,
I
okay.
sure do.
Thank you,
All right.
Pat.
Yeah, thank you.
You, Pat.
Hey, Home on the Range. And Taze.
That's right.
Good morning.
Morning.
Well, I want to thank the commissioners for allowing us to come up and speak and give an update. Like Tracy said, we do have Taze, the Wonder Dog, here to visit also. So if there's any concerns about Taze, that let me know. But he would like to work the room if he could. So if anybody would prefer I not take him off leash, let me know. Otherwise, can he
Let her buck.
just run? Well, hopefully there's not a lot of that.
It's kind of like us. They take the leash off as long as we're in this room.
Right. So yeah, he'll make his rounds. So yeah, Jolene and I are here from Home on the Range. Glad to be here. And we wanted to do a couple things. We wanted to update you on where we've been since the last time we came here in November of '23. And then just kind of walk through, I know we've got some new commissioners, kind of what we do, who we are, and who we serve. So we'll just get started. Arrow? Down arrow? That one good? There we go. Oh, look at that. I'll let you see the picture because I think that's the coolest part. So we were founded in 1950 by a Catholic priest, Father Cassidy. So we've been in existence for a long time. We've seen a lot of things and we've changed and developed along with the state of North Dakota. We do a lot of drug and alcohol programming. Our kids have all experienced complex trauma, so we do a lot of trauma-focused work with our kids. We also do adventure therapy, like I mentioned. Equine and canine therapy, adventure therapy is also another one of the things that we do. So who we serve, our kids have experienced a great deal of trauma by the time they get to us. We do an ACE assessment, it's called. It's an assessment of trauma. So it assesses things that have happened to you, haven't happened for you, or have happened around you. So that would include things like an incarcerated parent, emotional, physical abuse, domestic violence, those kinds of things. What's interesting about the ACE score is it was developed in the 70s, and what they found was the higher ACE score, the more number of childhood traumas that a kid has experienced, the more likely they are to have health issues. They're 6 times more likely to have a suicide attempt or commit suicide. An ACE score of 4 or more makes them 7 more times to be alcoholic. An ACE score of 4 or more makes them twice as likely to have heart disease or cancer or be obese. An ACE score of 4 or more makes them 47 more times to use injectable drugs. An ACE score of 6, you can lop off 20 years of your life. It's out of a possible 10. Our average ACE score right now, our girls have 8.2, and our boys have 5.2. I will tell you that these are probably underreported. For example, doing an ACE score with a girl, and she had an ACE score of 9. And as they were talking, the only one that she didn't check off was, I've never been sexually assaulted. But as she's talking to the clinician about her life and her experiences, she talks about one time when she was at a party and she passed out and a guy had sex with her. And the clinician said, well, you said that you weren't sexually assaulted. And she said, well, that wasn't assaulted. So that's an ACE score of 10. So the lives that these kids are coming from, they don't even recognize what a trauma is. Okay. We've seen a steep increase in the level of trauma that our kids have experienced in the last 5 years compared to what it was 20 years ago when I started. It's just kind of a different kind of kid. So sex trafficking is something that Home on the Range specializes in. The definition for sex trafficking in North Dakota is the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, obtaining, patronizing, or soliciting of a person for the purposes of commercial sex act in which the commercial sex act is induced by force, fraud, or coercion, or in which the person induced to such an act isn't 18. We see a lot of our youth coming through our doors that have been sex trafficked, so much so that we really invested in it and trained up in it since 2019. And we even have a Senate bill that went through, spearheaded by Home on the Range last. So much so that in 2024, here's what our trafficking youth data shows, our females. We had 30% of our girls were confirmed sex trafficked. I can hear the tail. Were confirmed sex trafficked. Okay, so that means that they had an open case going or that they self-disclosed. Another 27% of our girls were suspected. So that often means that those are girls who are savvy enough in the system to not say enough to get confirmed and get involved in the legal system. Another 40% of our girls had concerns. So this would be something like a girl runs away and needs a place to stay, and this 27-year-old man says, oh, honey, come here, I'll take care of you. I'll give you a place to stay. I'll give you food to eat. I'll give you drugs to use. Just come stay with me. Well, there's strings attached to that, okay? We had one kid that we didn't have concerns about, and that girl was with us for less than 40 hours. We really didn't get a chance to know her, but she didn't come in with any concerns. So what's interesting is also our male data. And last year we did a lot of trying to gain momentum in the area of gaining expertise and working with males. Males are a lot less likely to report. But even given that, we had 7% of our males were suspected. So that means they have pretty strong indicators, right? They were on the run for an extended period of time, and maybe they were able to obtain food, drugs, alcohol, and a place to stay, but wouldn't disclose how they were able to do that. Another 50% of our males had concerns. So there's red flags going on, but just not quite enough to reach that threshold of being suspected. 40% of our males didn't have any concerns. Sex trafficking is a huge issue in North Dakota, and one that I don't think people are aware of. I've got stories of kids that have come through our doors that would knock your socks off. I've heard a young gal from Killdeer present about being sex trafficked here in Killdeer. She is a bright young lady who got lured in online and was exploited that way. So it happens in North Dakota. It happens in Killdeer. It happens in Wahpeton. It happens in Bismarck. It happens in all little towns, all big towns, reservation, not reservation. It's happening here in our community. Our kids are your kids. I ran this slide for you guys the last time I was here to present, and the numbers have just gone up. So you can kind of see from the oil countries, Billings, Dunn, Golden Valley, Hettinger, Stark, Burke, Divide, Renville, and Williams. We've had 31 youth of yours in the last 4 years. In McKenzie and Montreal counties, we've added another 16. So when I say our kids are your kids, we're serving your kids, we're serving your families, we're involved in your communities from Little Old Sentinel Butte, North Dakota. I talked about how we serve briefly. I talked about the bottom-up approaches. So here's just a little background. Kids who have experienced trauma, their brains are actually different. They're wired differently. When a youth who has experienced trauma sees something quick out of the corner of their eye, or some loud sound happens, their brain is triggered. And so the top part of their brain, their cortex, actually goes offline. And they're really in fight, flight, and survival mode. So that's why you'll see things that wouldn't typically trigger somebody, trigger these kids into just having a meltdown. We had one kid who had like a 3-day issue because she wasn't given her chips one day. And it's really not about the chips, right? That kid is triggered. This kid could have been neglected and not had access to food. Maybe this kid didn't have any parents who made sure that this kid was eating regularly, had their medical needs met. It's really not about the chips, right? It's about why that triggers. Relationships are a big trigger for kids. We have a kid make a phone call home, and the mom says, calls her a name and says, "I don't ever want to talk to you again." That triggers that kid, right? That's a relationship that's broken. And so we work with that kid from the bottom up to gain control of the lower parts of their brain. And so you do that by doing exercises that calm and soothe the youth, okay? One of my favorite ways to do bottom-up programming is called rhythmic riding. And that picture on the top right, the 2 girls riding horse bareback. So rhythmic riding is designed to really rewire parts of the brain, right? So kids get excited, kids get triggered, something is anxious that's happening, your horse maybe tries to bite another horse, or your horse moves quick and you're not ready for it. And mind you, these are not cowgirls, right? Most of these kids haven't pet an actual horse. We get kids from all over the state, and it's really not the outdoors kinds of kids that we grew up with. So this is usually a brand new experience for these girls. So they get triggered, they get all up in their head, and they get anxious, and then we calm them down, right? So they ride to music in a circle. I tell them it's the easiest job on ranch. Their only job is to make the rhythm of the music match the rhythm of their body, match the rhythm of their horse. Sounds simple, right? But you have a person who gets triggered easy and gets anxious, their brain goes offline, they're like, ah! So in between songs, we stop, we do some deep breathing, we do some sensory things, we might do some stretching so that they calm back down, right? And so that provides ample opportunity for those kids to practice getting wired up and then calming down. And the hope is that then they practice that outside of the barn. They take those skills with them. We have a number of different kinds of groups. We've got specialized groups for our sex trafficked youth. We've got Ending the Game, My Life, My Choice, Becoming Me, and Self-Defense are all specific to that group. All of our kids have access to a number of evidence-based programs. So that's like research says this is the best way to go. We've got those programs. Our kids are exposed to really Southwest North Dakota living. Right now we're calving, and so the kids are involved in that, and if they're lucky, they get to see a calf be born. We had a calf born in the snowstorm, that we had here, and they brought the calf in, they warmed him up, they loved on him, which is a great opportunity for our kids to see and develop some empathy, right, and an opportunity to give back and keep the calf alive. Like, there's a lot of life lessons in that. We have opportunity to work, the kids can work in the construction. We're remodeling Eagle Hall now, so there's opportunity for that. We do a lot of spiritual programming that is optional for the kids. And we've mentioned the experiential groups as well. What Home on the Range, I think, is best at is providing real life, real time opportunity for these kids to relearn what relationships can look like, what they can be, and we do that with the animals. It's interesting when I walk into a room with Taze, there's a whole new energy that takes over, right? People are smiling, people are kind of reaching out to him, and that's what happens with our kids. Humans have hurt our kids, and animals help heal that, right? It's a lot safer to talk to an animal, to a dog, to a horse, than it is to talk to a therapist, to a human, because they haven't been hurt by animals, right? And so they learn a lot of life lessons with the animals and slowly learn to reopen those trusts and vulnerability. Which brings us to Badlands Learning Center. Last year, it was November 23, we came and talked about our wish to really develop our own school, and I've sent a couple updates in the last year about how it's been going, but it's been more successful than we even imagined. It's been incredible. You can see pictures here of our school. That's Brutus there in the top right. Brutus is our school dog, and he does an incredible job at helping kind of regulate the kids who start to get amped up. We would never put him at risk, of course, but he is a great soothing tool and often gets to play fetch at breaks, so that's good for him too. So in November 23, we came out and spoke to you guys about our wish to develop a school, and you were so very generous and awarded us a $300,000 grant, which really knocked our socks off and honest to God brought us to tears in the hallway. So, but because of your generosity, we were able to implement that. And which started with a phone call in October of 23, turned into our school by June 3rd is when we opened. With your help, we were able to gather trauma-informed sensory furniture, which is specific for trauma kids. So a lot of rhythmic movement is good for trauma kids, repetition, those kinds of things. And so they've got little rocker chairs and different things like that. That is evidence-based, right? Proven that it's helpful for their brains to stay regulated. You helped us provide each kid with a laptop. The kids do all their classes through the Center of Distance Education, and it's all on laptop. Headphones, so that each kid can wear headphones. We've got software that helps ensure safety, so it blocks any kind of social media access. We have bookshelves. We have one classroom that we divided with bookshelves so that we would have two areas for girls to keep the classroom small. And so you helped us provide those. And we also were very excited to hire an occupational therapist for our school, which is a brand new service for Home on the Range. And she's been phenomenal. She is a great asset to the team. She brings a whole new view of how to help kids regulate and do their daily living skills. And she's incredible. So very fortunate to have her as well. So here's the stats, the nitty gritty. So since we opened June 3rd, which was supposed to be a soft start, but it really wasn't, we have served 77 students. 76 students earned credit while at home on the range. And the only one who hasn't just hasn't completed a class yet. 120 classes have been passed with 60 credits earned and 2 GEDs have been complete. That's the beginning of June 3rd until the beginning of March. And actually we had another kid just finish his GED this week, so that was very exciting too. Mm-hmm. But these are all opportunities for our kids and more success than our kids have seen. We talked about ACEs a little bit and trauma and how that affects the brain. This is how it affects education. Kids with 3 or more ACEs are 5 times more likely to have attendance issues, 6 times more likely to have behavioral problems, and 3 times more likely to experience academic failure. And I don't need to read these to you. I know that you guys have them. But trauma affects how successful kids are in school. And I think we've seen that when we were in public school. Only 33% of the kids that we had at public school earned credit. Now there's a number of reasons for that. One is the public school just wasn't trained as we are. Another reason is the kids had to be there for a full semester to gain credit. With our shortened length of stays down to about 4 months right now, it was very rare to get a kid in May and discharge that kid in January, so they would be there for the semester to get credit. We are able to be a lot more flexible with that. We run school year round so that the kids that are there in the summer are still able to gain credit. We do 2 classes at a time so that the kids can complete that class, get that credit, and then move on to another one. We're able to offer electives as well as core classes. For kids who have completed their GED, we also have certification that the kids can go. We've had one young man who completed, I want to say, 4 certification courses in construction, and so he was very excited about that. As you can see, like I said, we only had the one kid not earn credit that was with us. And when you compare the credits offered to the credits earned, we only earn 30% of the credits at public school as compared to 99.1% of the credits offered at Badlands Learning Center. So as I said, I think we're seeing an enormous amount of success when you compare public school to what we're doing now. And again, we thank you for providing us the opportunity to help our kids and your kids by doing that. So we did have, some kids have written for me about their school experience, which is typically much different than the experience that they came from. We had one young trafficked lady who talked about how before she came to Home on the Range, she hated school and what a difference it made at school. She graduated with her GED and now wants to go to college. She talked about how there's people that take their time with the students here and that it's a very peaceful place. And now her education goal is to go to school and become a nurse. And this kid is actually enrolling in CNA classes at the foster home she's at. And this was a young lady who was horrifically trafficked by family. And it's just the most rewarding thing in the world to see her doing well and succeeding and having goals. One young man talked about loving it and loving the fresh start he got and how he planned to become a high school dropout. And he found out all you had to do was ask questions. So we think it's great. The kids think it's great. So we have learned some things in the last 8 months while we've been doing this. We learned that it is a raging success. We have learned that we need more identified areas for boys and girls with more separation. Right now the girls' classroom is separated by a row of bookshelves and the boys is separated by an accordion door. It would be a lot more beneficial if we had separate classrooms for the kids. We've learned that we dearly miss our training room. We find ourselves meeting in the cafeteria room, which is loud and echoey, and it's hard to have a good conversation. And the boys' classroom is our training room that was divided by the accordion wall. We've also learned that we need more permanent separation. Bookshelves, there's a lot of noise, and I don't know if you know this about teenage girls, but there's a lot of drama. And so there's lots of that can occur between bookshelves even at times. So our current goal is looking to do an addition to the school so that we can have more permanent separation of the classrooms and get our training room back. And we would love an outdoor area, Southwest North Dakota. We bring a lot of our culture into the kids, right? So we're doing outdoor activities all the time. We have picnics every Friday in the summer, weather permitting, those kinds of things. And also an area to develop further independent living skills. Our occupational therapist has been great at taking the kids to the laundromat and cooking meals with the kids and taking them grocery shopping. And a more identified area for her to do group work would be ideal. So those are the things we learned. Those are our goals. Here's what the plan would look like. The area in yellow would be the addition. The white area is the existing area. You can see that little kind of red line on the far right side there. That's the bookshelf division between the two girls' classrooms. And then straight up from there, you can see that bigger area with that divider line there. That's currently the boys' classroom with the accordion door. So our goal is to develop kind of another wing that would have two separate classrooms. And then we would change that south area, that's the sensory room, into a bathroom. And then the life skills would be an area for independent living skills. And a commons area, and then still the outdoor living area for group work and classroom stuff outside. The total price tag on that is 2.8. Initially we dreamed really big and had 4 classrooms, and we had its own independent living room, and we had all kinds of ideas. But the reality is our numbers are low, and we don't do that. So this is kind of where we settled on. Well, that's, and our request, I do remember Robert clearly saying, make sure you come back next year. So we did. Our request would be that you guys help us to continue to grow educational opportunities for our kids. Do what we know is working, right, to give it a shot. I don't want that view, right? We do have plans to also approach other donors, grants, and lay the challenge down to other counties. So there's some of the areas that we're looking to find additional. So we want to spread it around. This actually was taken here. Our girls were at school, went outside to go sledding, and most of them had never been sledding. So it's opportunities to do good things. So that's, try to whisk that pretty quick, so if anybody has any questions, I'm sure field them. I was hoping I'd have more time, so I tried to read.
Okay. No, thank you. It's very, very good presentation.
A question, does the girls still help on the mounted shooters? They used to come out and put the
We
balloons
do,
on?
yeah, I believe that we do that in Medora.
And
Yep,
then
that's always a fun one.
I think they put some fundraisers on too for the feed for the horses too, I think at time to time, barrel
Yep.
races.
Yep, we've done the barrel race in Dickinson,
And
yeah.
my wife puts them on, so.
Oh, nice, yeah.
So I get to see it. It was really neat to see the girls run out and put all the balloons on, they'd shoot off, and so, yeah.
Yes.
Looked like they really enjoyed it.
Yes, they do. And it's fun for them to get out in the community and do different things, you know? That's not something that our kids have done before.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I
good.
appreciate that.
Now, your school part of it, does that need financing or?
So the school itself, we're able to charge tuition, we're able to self-sustain that way. And so we're learning how that all works, but Dan's done a great job at making sure the classes are paid for.
So you're not short there at all?
No. Just looking for.
Well, Madam Chairman, I I kind of get choked up about this. I guess I'd make it short. I want to do 150,000.
And that's in the form of a motion? Or
That's my motion.
Okay.
A second.
So it's been moved and seconded to contribute 150,000 to the Home on the Range for their construction project. And would that be the federal mineral money?
Yes.
Yeah. Any further discussion?
I guess the reason I've been there, I've seen it, I believe in it. And we give a lot of money to a lot of things, but this helps. But this helped one kid. It's worth it.
Besides that, he's easily bribed.
Cookies.
We see him.
And we're fortunate that this is in our region. This is our, we own this too, in a sense. So. All right, there's no further discussion. Roll call vote.
Commissioner Heiser?
Yes.
Commissioner Olson?
Yes.
Commissioner Pelton?
Yes.
Commissioner Kleeman?
Yes.
Commissioner Dalzell?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you. Appreciate your update. To come back again. Yeah. Thanks for the cookies. Thank you. Okay, what's our next? Siren, okay. The tower, Siren Tower, are you online? I don't know the.
Yes,
Oh, good morning.
Good
You're
morning.
on.
yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, I am one. Okay. I'm gonna make this short and sweet. My name is Kurt Walter. I'm representing Allo Towers. Allo Towers has a contract with the state of North Dakota to fill out their siren. It's a statewide public safety radio network. So hopefully you guys have seen the siren or aware of the program itself. If not, we have a link for it. I'm not here to sell the siren program, but here, let me share what I have. Not sure if you're aware of it, but siren is like I said, it's a statewide radio network for public safety. So we're they're in their last phase of filling out coverage, statewide coverage for first responders, basically. So Allo Towers is looking to put a facility near Manning. This is what we're doing today is more of a preliminary thing, just to get the ball rolling, see what your thoughts are. Interested to see if Dunn County would be interested in putting a tower on Dunn County property. What we're looking for and look at that. Hold on one second here. I cannot get to. Well, I'm trying to get to what we're looking at here.
So we did receive copies of the sites
Yes.
that you were looking at.
Yes. What I've got on the screen now is just a visual of what one looks like. Obviously everybody's probably seen these. This is we're looking to put up about a 200-foot monopole. We'd take a 50-foot by 50-foot ground area. Just wondering if you guys are interested in any of these locations that we have proposed. So if you have a copy of all of them, if any of them, some of them are better than others, if you're interested at all, we'd love to chat. Allo Towers is working with the state. We're also looking at being conservative on funds and everything, and would love to have as small of a lease price as possible if we proceed with something like this. So,
Kurt, oh,
yes.
Oh, Kurt, I believe, of all the options, the ones in Manning would probably be off the table just because of their proximity to other buildings. So,
Correct. Yep. No, perfectly understandable.
so I think, depending on the board here, the ones near the Dunn County Road Shop, or I think the last option was option 5, which would be the property we're looking at purchasing. We still haven't signed that agreement yet. But.
Correct. Yep. No, we're preliminary here, so we understand your process. So,
How far would these be going in?
I'm sorry. What was that?
How soon would they be built?
We would be looking at a quick turnaround, and we'd probably be building it this fall yet. That's about as quick a turnaround as you can get in tower building.
How far are the setbacks? So how far do the buildings need to be away from the towers?
So I gave you a copy with some highlighted things for the setbacks. The only requirement we have is just 500 feet back from a resident, and that's why I did the option 1. You can see we're real close in the 500 feet circle to, I believe it's Carla Scott's house. And that's why I was working with Ryan, I told him option 5 seems to be the best option because there is no residents around there. But as far as the other buildings, we're fine, as long as we keep our setbacks. And option 5 is the best way to get all of our setbacks met, or just a small variance if we need, especially if there is a 200-foot tower. I figured out our setback of what the 1.25 is the height of the support structure. We'd be at about 250 feet, and we could get that setback into. So actually, option 5 is the best. It would go good to be with the public service building, and it would be the best to keep it away from the city a little bit, or the village a little bit, and then those looking to the south would have that hill, so that also it would kind of blend into that. It's a small hill between where the public safety building is and where Dvorak's are, so it would be kind of well buffered there.
So I guess the question would be, is the commission all right with providing the site, the 50 by 50 site on our Dunn County property, or the public safety communication tower?
Yeah, I guess my only thing, as long as we can still be able to build the public cities that live within there, but
right,
public buildings are allowed
Yep.
to be within that setback area.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
So Kurt, what type of lease agreement are you working with, or with other towers, or what kind of proposal would you have?
Well, the one thing this is, this is a statewide public safety, so it's not a commercial tower, so it's not. I hate to use anybody's names, but it's not one of the big cellular companies running around and spending a whole lot of money on this. So what we're looking at is as long a term as possible. They'd prefer to pay you a one-time payment for an easement forever, perpetual. If that doesn't work, we'd be looking at whatever nominal amount monthly we could, come up with and agree to between everybody. But we're looking at at least a 50 years.
Just
That
kind of
was-
wondering what, what paperwork we'd need to.
If you guys are open to this, on this location, this basic site plan, we can get some paperwork to you. It's obviously a bunch of legalese that's it's into, what happens if this happens. But it's not too complicated. It's probably, it's probably easier than the cellular phone company leases, but yeah, it takes into consideration access. We'll have to do a survey. We'll have to do geotechnical drillings to make sure we're doing a foundation right. But on your end, it would be just reviewing one contract, tweaking it if necessary, and then all the rest of it's on our end. But we can provide you with a basic template here in the next week, so you can start looking at it.
Yeah, I guess I like that site option number 5. I would just, I don't think we do motions yet because we don't own the land yet, right? So I think we need to wait till we own that land before we can fully approve it, but I guess moving forward, start looking at that site.
And that'll give them time to give us a lease to look at too.
Yep.
Yeah, and it would be more appropriate to actually, approve something that you've actually seen the lease to. So that's what we'll wait for, and we'll wait for an approval at that point.
I kind of gather the consensus is that we'd be open to that option 5 site and, pending us purchasing the property and the lease terms that you provide to us.
That sounds perfect. The only other thing is, if you guys wish to appoint a point person or the county attorney or something to run this through rather than coming to another meeting and then discuss all the details, and then another meeting after that, discuss more details, that kind of stuff, if you follow me.
You think, working with Sandy with planning and zoning, and then Sandy can run it by the state's attorney, would that be?
I think we're good.
Yeah,
Doing that.
yeah. So,
Okay.
Work with Sandy Rhodey, with our zoning administrator.
Sounds perfect. That's what we can do. We'll have something for you either later this week or early next week.
Hey, sounds good. Thank you very much.
Appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sandy.
Thanks, Andy.
Hey, Ryan and Sarah.
Good morning, good to see you.
Good morning, Ryan.
You too, Sarah.
Yeah, well, it's good to see you too. I've got it here if you want.
I just want to make sure I don't touch something. Something on fire.
At least you know how to turn it down.
Right. Well, I guess we're here this morning to talk about as Western North Dakota Fire Restrictions Coordination Group. And do some history in the back of this. Last August, some of us chiefs out west here with the North Dakota Fire Danger Index did not like what it was showing as far as burning and restrictions and how we thought things should be flowed out as they triggers different restrictions set by each county commissioner board in each different county, because it relies on what's that sent out on the daily. By 5 a.m. every morning, it's listed on the website what your daily fire danger index should be. So we started prodding around, and they were able to change the formula. And then, of course, as things first October 5th happened, and there was other things going on between the locals, state, and federals as far as restrictions going on, depending upon who has their hand in what piece of law is out there for people to privately do. And we kind of butt heads once in a while on what we how it should be. So we've come together and had some meetings this spring, and then most recently offered a couple weeks ago, and decided that we would like to get representation from the county of Bowman, Slope, Valley, Billings, Stark, Dunn, and McKenzie as far as having somebody from the Board of Commission as one representative, fire and from the county, and also law enforcement. As those break down, the fire side of SOAR forces go with restrictions, what we're making and sending the state and what's going on, and hopefully not out every day putting out smoke. As far as law enforcement side, is because when restrictions are put into place, if we get BLM land, state forest service land, or different things, everybody needs to make sure they can write the same ticket, because depending on county to county, things change, or federal to state, or to county property. So we're trying to make sure that everybody has a seat at the table to understand when the citation is issued, that it's clear across the board for every county, not just, well, okay, well, I camped on Billings County side, but I started a fire in Dunn County. Well, Billings County didn't let me have a fire that day, but Dunn County did. So make sure that the tickets and everything is enforced. And the commission side of things, representation, because it is all, it's not like this group is going to set restrictions inside of the state. County, the local county has the authority to put on the burn county what happens. But just to have the communication out there for every in this group and organization to understand what everybody's thinking together and try to be process. A lot more of this has to do with east versus west side of the Missouri River at times too, which what's good for the western part of the state isn't good for the state sometimes. But what we consider a bad day or a high day out here might not be a bad or a high day out east. That's what our fire danger index is saying. But they're able to work with that formula and do a little better job so that it does come on 5 o'clock in the morning. By noon, I'm not scratching my head going, why in the world are we low today when the wind is 70 miles per hour and the humidity is at 20%? So things have been calculated and changed in that perspective. The meetings would be maybe weekly. It depends upon how things are going. Could be monthly. And if everything is great and grass is always green, I think we don't meet for 3-4 months about how things are going. But that's just some of the stuff we're looking at doing. Or I know people got out to other counties and look at representatives, but we want to make sure that the county commission appoints those representatives to have the final say on what goes on in your county.
Right now, this has been agreed to by when you met up in McKenzie County.
That was our
Yes.
last meeting,
Yep.
yes, and that involved, I think you have the email in front of you, all the different entities that would respond, and that's what's come out of that last meeting, is this is how we would like to proceed forward.
And like you said, it's more of communication, right?
Yes.
I mean, just being able to. And so you're asking for a representative from the board to be involved in that. Is that right?
Right, for the board, but we would also like the board to appoint a fire person and a law enforcement person as well
okay.
to attend these meetings.
Well, Ryan? That was an assumption. So what are your wishes?
I could do it.
Yeah, Craig has a portfolio too for emergency management, correct? Yeah, so I would think Craig as a commissioner,
I agree, he's got the most experience fighting fires than any of us do.
and law enforcement, Gary, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I'd just love to be on that board, so sounds like a good program, good idea.
So we have Gary and fire chief. It makes sense that it'd be you, Ryan, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I agree.
Agree?
Yep.
Okay.
You've been
So-
active in setting it up, so.
So, I don't know, maybe we should have that in a motion, so it's of record, who we appointed.
I was gonna say that, so. I move that we put Ryan, I don't know what your last name is, Ryan. Ryan Hulk, Craig Pelton, and Gary Kuhn as our representatives for the Western North Dakota Fire Restriction Coordination Group.
There's a second?
I second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Heiser. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thanks for coming in. Is Carrie in the room? Yes, she is. Hello.
Morning.
I'm here today to give you a preliminary report on the 2025 Young Farmers Grant Program. Those applications and the program opened the 15th of January and closed on the 28th of February. So for a month and a half, we took applications. Up until the Monday prior to the Friday closing, we had somewhere in the neighborhood of 40. And I thought, oh, we're going to be great. But in that last week, we had 50 applications. Do the math. 56 applications come through the door. A little bit of history on that program. We started in 2023 with the goal of getting 5 applications. We ended up with 9. It was a pilot year. We provided somewhere in the neighborhood of $43,000 worth of grants to our young farmers who qualified underneath the basic eligibility rules that we've set. In 2024, we ended up with 70 applications, all of which were funded by the county commission. The grant total was $350,000 provided. What we have learned through the program is, through our observation, is these dollars are typically matched. So you'll see down below under observation number 1, spending tends to trend public to private, a 2-to-1 investment. So if we give $1, the private invests $2. We also know anecdotally from economic theory that when $1 is spent within a community, it tends to stay within that community or turn over, if you will, 3 to 7 times. So that basic investment by the county commission and through the JDA of $350,000 has substantial impact for this community and for young farmers. Coming into this year, we asked for, and you set aside $350,000 in the budget through the probably GPT or Sally, you would know best what fund it came out of. In order to fund all 96, I am here today to ask for $130,000 so that all of the applications of the young farmers who meet those minimum qualifications can be funded.
What are your
Madam
wishes?
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to provide $130,000 to complete the funding for the 96 applicants.
There's a second.
I'll second.
It's been a motion by Commissioner Heiser, second by Commissioner Olson, to provide $130,000 to fund the additional applicants to the Young Farmer Grant Program. Any further discussion? Just how many total did we receive this time, applicants?
We received 96 applications this year. What's interesting is if you look at last year's, I've kind of broken them down by category. The bulk of them go to cattle, and then it just ranges down to windbreaks, working facilities, which I had no idea what that was, but that's where you work your cattle within, whether it's a movable corral system or something fixed within your yard. Fencing, equipment, and it just goes down. You can see some of the very unique projects.
Madam Chairman. Carrie, there's a couple items in here that what we're doing this for a student loan isn't really helping anybody in the county.
Well, in this particular case, and I can speak to that application, this individual had a certain amount of funds left on, I want to be careful not to give a qualifier so you can kind of guess who it is, but this individual had a certain amount of funds left to pay on that individual's student loans so that that individual could become the hired hand on the farm instead of hiring somebody else. And instead of having to go out and get a job in the workforce, or not in the workforce, on Main Street, this individual, once those student loans were paid for, was able to become the hired hand on the farm, which furthered that individual's goal in becoming more sustainable.
And the other one I look at is pasture rent, that's kind of being competitive with, public area.
In these places, when those individuals ask for pasture rent, they had a signed lease agreement from whomever it is they are participating, if you will, with. If I were renting your land, Bob, I would submit as part of my application, my contract, my lease, if you will, with you, and then once that is paid, I reimburse them. No different than if somebody were to use it to buy a piece of equipment, but always with paid receipts. Nothing is paid in advance.
But a piece of equipment is not competing with the public, or with the people. I mean, like if I say Craig's gonna lease this, well, and then I can get a grant, and I give it to him because got free money to do it. I mean, it's just those two, I have no problems with it. I mean, they can put down that they're gonna use it for corrals, and then use it for pasturing. I don't care. I just don't like the student loan thing or the pasture rent thing. I mean, it should be something that they're buying in the community.
And pasture rent from you wouldn't be buying that in the community, Commissioner Kleeman?
Competing. Is what I would say. You buy a fence, you put up a fence, you're not competing with anybody. If you do buy cattle, yeah, I guess you are competing with somebody, but.
So, question, Carrie, so the applications come in, you make sure they meet the minimum qualifications?
That is correct.
But then from there, is there other board members that look at this too, to approve them? Or is it approved by the full board?
Historically, we have had a committee look at them.
Okay.
In this particular case, we made the determination we will not have a committee look through them only to pass them on to the board. I'm going to prepare them, and on the 19th, with funding, I will present them to the full board for approval.
So, and the idea, and you mentioned this, the $5,000 is money then that gets reinvested in the community.
That is correct.
And frees up to advance their, their farm or ranch.
Their plans
So-
in agriculture as they move forward. That is correct.
I mean, you take the student debt one, if he took that $5,000 into something else, the $5,000 he's gonna put into that, he could put into the student debt. I
understand.
It would, I think it looks better to the public too if they.
That's fair.
You
We
know,
can
I
make
know
that an exclusion.
I know last year we had some of them, they're paying interest at the bank, and I think they can come up with.
Those would be on the pasture rent, or, I understand. Okay. Would you like that an exclusion moving forward? And I don't have any for student debt. That was a unique situation in that one particular applicant.
Right now, I think we gotta accept them the way they come in.
I would agree. But we can make that recommendation for next year. Do you feel the same with pasture rent?
I suppose if he had existing lease with somebody and it's not taken away from somebody else would be one, just a thought. I mean, he's had a lease for 10 years and he's not competing against his neighbor for it, but that's just a thought.
I think they can put something else down, use it. All these aren't gonna go,
So-
I don't like it when the public looks at it.
If I understand you correctly, Commissioner Kleeman, what you're hoping is that the applications come in for project-specific items. So if it's a water project, it's a thing. If it's feed or seed, it's a thing versus a lease for land. Project-specific.
I mean, that other stuff would free up that money to pay their lease. So.
Pay the other.
I understand.
I did have one resident talk to me about it, and he's like, yeah, so if he's bidding for pasture rent, and somebody that qualifies for this grant, they can now bid $5,000 higher than he can bid for the same piece of ground, so they're outbidding him on that ground, and that's where the competition part comes into it.
I understand.
you know.
I mean, they can still use that $5,000 for that, but it's not just right here in black and white.
It's an educational process.
So did we had a motion and second?
Yes.
Okay, to approve the application, or the 130,000?
Yep.
Extra, okay.
Extra.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, roll call vote.
Commissioner Heiser?
Yes.
Commissioner Olson?
Yes.
Commissioner Polter?
Yes.
Commissioner Kleeman?
Yes.
Commissioner Dalzell?
Yes, the motion carries.
Thank you very much, and I will make a note as we make recommendations for next year to try to make sure that those applications are project-specific and reimbursable expenses, as they are reimbursable expenses, but project-specific.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, under old business, we have the trap club equipment. Do we have an update on that?
Yeah, I can just give a quick update. I went to the Killdeer City meeting on Monday night, and the Killdeer City was gracious enough to buy all the equipment they needed to get the trap club up and going out there so the kids can start shooting this spring. We did talk about possibly in the near future here doing a collaborative effort with the county to possibly put up an archery building, multi-use facility out there for the trap club and the archery club also. But right now, they're looking at Conoco might be moving out of that place next to there. So they were going to talk to Conoco about possibly getting that land, either buy it or rent or maybe possibly donated it. So that's kind of where that discussion's at right now. We got to wait for that Conoco land to see where they're at, whether we need to put a building up or not, or talk about that. But right now, that's the update, I guess. The Killdeer City bought the trap equipment so the kids can start shooting out there this spring.
Well, that's great, yeah, thank you. Okay, Sally, school grant program.
Okay, so every year for, I think since 2020, we've done the school county grant funding application, and what the grant is used for is to buy down school bond debt. So you have to use it in that way. It helps the taxpayers in those specific areas. In the past 2 years, the commission has decided to give $7 million to the schools. And I just wanted to know if you guys are interested. The schools do have to fill out an application. They do come back. They have to tell us what they're using it for. And then after the fact, I ask them for a certificate or a copy of an invoice or something that shows that it did go for what the county was giving it for. That way we know in the future that yes, this is helping the taxpayers and they are using it for what it was intended.
I mean, you getting the receipt basically keeps the schools from getting in trouble.
Absolutely, yeah, because if they don't do it like this, I know this is something that Daryl Dukart set up a long time ago, and if we are not careful and we don't do it exactly the way it was set up, the schools will lose their state funding. So we have to be really careful, but I just came to ask if you guys were interested in doing it again this year, and if you are, how much would you guys like to do the school bonds for?
Offhand, what's in our federal mineral right now?
Roughly 24 million, and we are getting another payment in March. That's our first quarterly payment of 25. We haven't gotten it yet. It should be next week sometime.
The other thing, we can use our general fund dollars for this as well, the oil and gas tax money. Because that balance is 50 million?
Yes, I want to say that balance was roughly 50 million in the oil and gas. I can get for sure numbers for you if you would like before you approve it, or but I want to say we have roughly in oil and gas and federal mineral monies, we have roughly 75 million.
So the budget we approved last fall, that's 7 million in the budget, 5. Doesn't mean we can Well, less or more.
I move we go to at least 8 million and take it out of the Federal Reserve.
You mean federal
Federal-
minerals or
federal
gross
minerals.
production tax?
Federal Mineral.
Do we got an idea how much schools have to pay on their loans yet?
I just have the numbers of what they levy each year, so I don't have the actual numbers for each of them. So they only levy a certain amount each year that's paid off, but I wouldn't have their actual numbers.
Kildare School usually comes in once a year and gives us a review of where this money has went to.
Mhm.
And if they don't have that much bond, they can't apply for it.
Yeah, once their bond is gone, then they can't.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing is the bond can't be paid off until, it's callable. The investors, after so many years, I believe they can pay off some of the interest now, but.
It seems like there's a lot of moving parts to that whole formula there.
The other part of it is, it's based on the same formula that's used to distribute oil and gas tax to the schools. They get a certain amount of gross production tax that does go to the schools. So based on student enrollment, and in our case, Dunn County students in each of the schools that have the bond for their new construction projects. So we use that same formula. So was there a motion or just discussion?
There's a motion, I guess I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Pelton, second by Commissioner Kleeman to allocate $8 million from federal mineral royalties to the school bond debt buy-down. Any further discussion? If not, roll call vote.
Commissioner Heiser?
Yes.
Commissioner Olson?
Yes.
Commissioner Pelton?
Yes.
Commissioner Kleeman? Commissioner Dolzall?
Yes, the motion carries. So you'll be.
Sally, when that stuff comes in, can you bring that in so we can see what they're actually using the money for?
Yeah, yep, I sure will.
Thank you.
Claim deed for this, it's the county building in Kildare, the old county building.
So at the last commission meeting, the mayor came in and we talked about them giving them the land in Kildare on where the old social services building is. So I drew up a quick claim deed. Again, it's nothing you guys have to sign today. I just wanted everybody to take a look at it, make sure it was okay before we proceeded on giving that to the recorder's office.
Maybe run it by,
It's not costing us anything, is it?
No, we might have to pay part of the building destruction yet.
we could approve signing this upon review by the state's attorney. If she's okay with the deed, then sign it and get it recorded. Guess I would make that motion. Maybe second.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner. Approve claim deed authorization 9 on due and approval. Further discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion. That done. Southwest water discussion?
Okay. So yeah, last Friday I got a meeting set up with Jen Murray up at Southwest Water there, and we just kind of talked about some of the needs of our county. Some of the topics, there's a lot of areas in the county that have been on the wait list for a long time with the Southwest Water pipeline. We're trying to do some different growth in residential, agricultural, industrial sectors. And with that, that's increasing the demand for dependable water through Southwest. Additional water capacity is critical for economic development and long-term sustainability. So talking with Jen there, what she would request from us in the short term to kind of get the process rolling is if Dunn County is willing to maybe put some money into the Southwest pipeline infrastructure in our county, they just need a letter from us stating our interest and for them to start looking into the cost analysis and feasibility studies to be able to, for Southwest to improve and get some of these people off the waiting list for the county. That kind of makes sense?
So this letter would be more that we would agree to help with cost of a feasibility study, not direct payments to.
Not direct payments right now, but the feasibility study, it would come out to what it would cost to do the infrastructure improvements in our county, and then we would look later on if we were willing to pay for it or not, I guess.
They would, we would have an idea of what that dollar amount.
That's just it. Get the dollar amount to see what it's gonna cost to get the people off the waiting list. I mean, one thing she did say that there are no areas in the county within the next 6 to 8 years that are even getting looked at that they're gonna take on, so if we don't step up to do something, people are gonna be waiting a long time to get water around here. I know I sent you guys all out an email.
Yeah, I saw the email.
So the letter was at the very bottom there, what she's looking for us today. Do I need to read it all off, or did you guys read it?
I did.
But yeah, it's just, basically it's a formal request for Southwest Water and North Dakota Department of Water Resources to evaluate the feasibility of increasing water capacity and expanding water service within our county. So that's the highlights of it.
Madam Chairman, Dave, do you know what that roughly is gonna cost us?
Nope, that's what this letter is. That's where we start to figure out what the costs are with the feasibility study. She didn't come up with any cost
on the feasibility study.
They didn't, no.
That's what I'm asking. Because we can do a feasibility study and, I mean, we got one water tap we finally got after 17 years. Whenever it started, we put in for it, we just got it.
Yeah.
And the water line's right there, so I'm just,
This doesn't commit us to any dollar amount. This is just saying we're willing to look at it.
Yep.
Does this commit us to wanting to pay for part of the study? Or are they gonna pay for the study?
sounded like what I read that we were gonna pay for the study.
You want me to read the whole thing out loud here?
Yeah, go
All
ahead.
right, so the Dunn County Commission is writing to formally request that Southwest Water Authority and the North Dakota Department of Water Resources evaluate the feasibility of increasing water capacity and expanding water service within our county. Additionally, we would like to explore what actions would be necessary for the county to consider financial participation in a feasibility study or future construction projects. Understanding the scope, cost, and timeline of potential system upgrades will allow us to make informed decisions about our role in supporting this vital infrastructure. As our county continues to grow, we recognize the critical need for reliable and sustainable water infrastructure to support residents, agriculture, and businesses. We ask that your agencies evaluate the necessary improvements of the Southwest Pipeline project system and determine the steps required to expand service coverage across the county. We appreciate your consideration of this request and look forward to your insights and recommendations. Please let us know how we can assist in the process and if a meeting would be beneficial to discuss the next steps. So this is just for us to consider financial participation, so it's not locking us down to any dollar amounts right now.
I mean, I guess I'd be interested in seeing what they come up with for dollar amounts.
Yeah, I definitely think we should probably move forward with this.
they must be checking already, because I had one ask me here a couple weeks ago that they'd gotten a call from Southwest Water wanting to know if they still wanted to be on their list.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, and that's just it, there's different people and different participants, I think that not everybody knows what everybody's doing there either, so.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't lock us into something that,
No,
and it doesn't appear to.
I think this just opens the door for the conversation to where we can start looking into it, so. Like I said, it's to consider financial participation, so it doesn't even lock us in to financial participation at this time until we move forward with the process. So with that, I guess I would move that we would accept this letter, give it to Southwest Water Authority to start the process of looking at what it would take to get more water here.
Okay, so there's a motion by Commissioner Olson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Heiser to sign the letter and send back to Southwest Water to consider the feasibility, I guess, looking into getting more Southwest Water to the county. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Dave.
Yep.
Okay, financial report?
You want to do that topo survey?
Oh, that's right, I missed that. We'll do topo survey first.
You want to go? You can go for it.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so at our building meeting, moving forward, we did get the site surveyed for the new public safety building, but they need a topographical survey as well to look for any of the pipelines and anything else that's out there. JLG has used Highlands Engineering, and we have used them in the past on a lot of our projects as well. The site survey that they're thinking about conducting would be roughly $3,400, and this would be all of the surveys needed to move forward with the building. And it would be like a 3-week timeline for them to complete the survey. So we just need approval from the full Board of Commission to move forward with the topographical survey provided by Highlands Engineering. And JLG will set up everything for us. And I did send out a letter and emails, but if anybody needs a copy, I did print a couple of copies as well.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Yeah, I move that we accept Highland Engineering's proposal to survey the topo survey for the Public Safety Center. And I'd like that to come out of the budget of the $20 million that was budgeted for that project.
Okay. So we have a motion to go with Highlands Engineering for the topo survey of the Public Safety Center building. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Pelton. Any further discussion? Not, roll call vote.
Commissioner Heiser?
Yes.
Commissioner Olson?
Yes.
Commissioner
Yes.
Pelton? Commissioner Kleeman?
Yes.
Commissioner Dalzell?
Yes, the motion carries. Now, financial.
Okay, so for the end February, for our gross production tax, we received $3,443,183. We are 17% into the year. We estimated roughly 38 million this year. We are currently at 7 million. But again, we get another payment usually around the 20th of the month. So in March, we will get another payment from them. Let's see, moving on for our bank balances. Rivera, we have 33 million in there now, and I want to move 12 million to the DDM account because it increases the amount of interest that we get. That is the account that is sort of treated like a CD. You get better interest, but you can remove that money at any time that you want to. Roughly, we have 48 million in there, 54 million in CDs. So we closed out the month of February with $136,128,455. Does anyone have any questions?
So Sally, the unorganized township money, that goes directly to road and bridge now?
Yes, yep, I put that to road and bridge, and we still use it to fund the salaries for the road workers.
Any questions? Not, got vouchers for payment, and Sarah had sent them out yesterday. Thank you, Sally.
Sally, I got a question on that email we got from subdivision road maintenance that come out on Sunday. Did you get that? Was a subdivision road maintenance agreement grant from Pinewood Meadows? Maybe I was the only one that got it.
Nope, I seen it.
You see it?
I just gotta open my thing back up.
I just haven't seen one of them before. I was kind of wondering.
Oh, for graveling?
It says for recycled asphalt.
Yeah, they've been putting recycled asphalt down. It comes out of that fund where we help.
Right.
And that's Tuesday.
Came on Tuesday?
No, it comes.
I think it come on Sunday. But, we've talked about this of, we rebuild a lot of roads in the county. Maybe some of these subdivisions, maybe we should take a look at maybe upgrading some of their streets and street improvements in the subdivisions. We rebuild roads, county roads, maybe take a look at what it would take to upgrade some of these subdivisions.
It says we are submitting our 2025 allowance, $14,000 for approval for the Pinewood Meadows. And it says they're looking to finish the spots that they didn't get done last year with crushed asphalt.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the application.
Yep.
They took that application, you approved it, and then they work back in and
Okay. But if we're gonna,
that was.
if you're gonna look at pavement or something, we should do it before they put crushed asphalt.
That's my question. Like I said, we're aggressive on building roads. You look in a community like that, there's probably, I don't know, maybe 10 houses in there. How it would benefit them 10 in, the rural is rural, but it's just a thought that we maybe should take a look at it. I don't know if the subgrade is wide enough for pavement. It's something I could look at, or maybe have Jeremy doing some work around the attic. Craig and I can maybe take a look and measure some streets. And paving is one thing, but when you got to start doing the infrastructure a little different. And so I think before a guy would approve this, we maybe should take a look at, doing some of them little projects.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's, probably time that we look at improving some of these subdivisions as well.
And it's one thing nice, it attaches to a paved road. It's not like it's out in the country like some are, but it comes from a paved road leading into a street. I was in there this fall, and there's scoria in there, and they've been trying to do what they can, but I think we should maybe just try and take a look and see what it would cost, a rough idea, and see how feasible it really is.
I agree, and I don't think it makes sense to approve this application if we are thinking of.
And we can check into it and then bring it back to another meeting sometime.
Okay.
And I don't think they'll be getting crushed asphalt right away.
No.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Vouchers?
question on that, on the hazmat. Where is that to the fire department where these air apparatus go to, or?
Yeah.
The hazmat fund is the LEPC funding that we get back from the state for all the hazardous material in the county. LEPC approved for West Dunn to get masks for their SCBA's.
Okay. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion to pay the vouchers.
Motion by Commissioner Kleeman to pay the vouchers. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Olson. Any further discussion? If not, roll call vote.
Commissioner Heiser?
Yes.
Commissioner Olson?
Yes.
Commissioner Pelton?
Yes.
Commissioner Kleeman?
Yes.
Commissioner Dolzall?
Yes, motion carries. Brings us to the end of our agenda. Motion by Commissioner Kleeman to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Heiser. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thanks, everyone.